Well, thank you. Thank you to those that were able to join us. I appreciate it. This is our first underwriting town hall, and we will be recorded, so you will be put on mute. There's a chat function on the side where you can ask questions, remarks. Since it is a smaller group right now, we certainly can have some discussion as well. The reason for the call is due to these times, it's been a little crazy for all of us, and all of you as underwriters and corporate sponsors have been there for SDPB, and SDPB is there for you. So we want to say thank you. We also want to remind you that our content is your content, and so how can we continue to support you as well? So we're going to go through some of the things that have been happening with SDPB, as well as where we're at. And with that, I am going to introduce Julie Overgaard, who is the Executive Director, CEO of South Dakota Public Broadcasting's network.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon when you watch this maybe later on. I'm Julie Overgaard, Executive Director of South Dakota Public Broadcasting, and thank you for taking the time to join us today or to actually watch this at your leisure. But I hope you get some good takeaways from, I think, the tremendous work that South Dakota Public Broadcasting has been doing, not just over the past few months, but for at least my lifetime. About a year ago, we really focused on implementing a new strategic plan and some serious organizational changes to help us better recognize the changing environment of media, the loss of media and journalism that we're experiencing in South Dakota, and the shrinking of opportunities to access good public information as a citizen of South Dakota. So how can public broadcasting better position itself to address the needs that we have and the issues we have as South Dakotans, and how can we best position our staff and our resources to serve the citizens of South Dakota and to make the most of what public broadcasting can do. And to that degree, we really collapsed some old models, some old business models of radio being one programming function of SDPB and television being another, and the digital side being a third leg of that tripod, if you will. And we collapsed them all. So we took around 22 staff members who are involved in content one way or the other, and we brought them into two groups. The journalism specific group, which focuses on the news of the day and issues of the day, has been very, very involved in addressing and dealing with the COVID situation. And then our entertainment group, which focuses on more lifestyle and storytelling, and has been equally important as people have been stuck in their homes and seeking content that isn't COVID related about life and the good things about living in South Dakota. And I think because we did that when the pandemic hit, we were well positioned to address it, to really take advantage of technology and the new audiences that we've been able to build and create in the social media world as well. And we've seen great results and huge interest from the people of South Dakota with these changes. So it's been wonderful for us, and learning experiences I'm sure you've all been through as well, in terms of reconfiguring our staff and how we produce content remotely and from home. But I think the organization has risen to the challenge, thanks in part to your support and your continued support. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to Larry Rohr. Larry Rohr is Assistant General Manager and Director of Content here at SDPB, and he's going to walk you through some of the amazing content we've created and the content we have, plans we have going forward.
Thanks, Julie, and hello to everyone. Even in launching a strategic plan where we think we're better organized to specialize in stories on a normal day-to-day basis, there hasn't been anything normal about the last couple of months. So we've made adjustments as well, primarily focused around, in one hand, to make sure that we can comprehensively talk about the health issues at hand and the impact in the state. But secondly, do that in such a way that we feel comfortable that our staff members are safe and can do their work in a safe and secure environment. To that extent, we've certainly used a lot more programming like this, where we can meet each other in a virtual basis. And one of our signature shows, Dakota Life, where we talk about a rural life and the people, places, and things in South Dakota, we've jumped in to add a virtual edition of that. So stories can be published in a virtual edition as well as shared on radio and television. Part of that virtual emphasis that we've done in the last month or so is to remind all of us of places that we'd like to visit or things that might help us cope if we're in a bit of a stay-at-home environment. So we've been visiting museums, we've been talking about how-to projects and other things that we think can and share the work of musicians. But most importantly, what we've wanted to do is connect and expand where we can. The support that's been provided by underwriters and by members and donors has been very important to that. And I think one of the reasons is not only the long track record of the that we've had for being a trustworthy news and storytelling organization, but at the same time is that the stories that we're covering are important on any given day. And I think that's reflected in the beats that we cover, whether they be about our history and traditions, our rural life, politics or public policy, business and economic development, education and healthcare, the fine arts and cultural, the wide variety of diversity in the state in languages and heritage and tradition, as well as science and technology, and of course, sports and recreation, the things that we do for fun and the games and the activities we like to participate in. We're there on any given day with our staff members specializing in those areas to make sure the local content that we have can be focused, as well as covering more comprehensive a picture of who we are. When you combine that with NPR and PBS, it's a very strong and it's a very reliable stream of content for South Dakotans to enjoy. Some of the stories that we've covered specifically, as you can see in some of those beat areas, a lot of the conversation about the COVID issues at Smithfield and how that's an example of the wider concerns. I want to let you know that with that local and national connection, 3 of our reporters were featured on NPR, helping to provide that story to the nation. That is not an uncommon occurrence. Quite often throughout the year, NPR will call and ask our reporters to take the local stories that we're doing and make sure that we can share them with the rest of the country. We do provide news feeds digitally under specific lanes where audiences interested in maybe a specific topic, not necessarily general. They can find them, as you can see, in business and politics and news in general. Just to add a little more context to that, these are some of the voices and faces that you see. Seth Tupper is working day to day in that business and economic development area. Kara Hetland, along with being the leader of our journalism team, covers an area and has for many years that is somewhat unique to public broadcasting. We know there's an interest not only in science and innovation, but in moving those products and that innovation to the marketplace. Jackie Hendry leads the health and education beat. Lee Strubinger is not only covering the legislature, there's so much more, and why we call it public policy, because the work that our elected representatives and those who represent us from the township level on up have policies that affect our lives, and that's the way Lee approaches those. China Lockett has been, along with many others on staff, she focuses on the arts and cultural area and other contributors to that area across our staff. Nate Weck, and I know you've seen Nate on the air during some of our high school activities coverage, but he does so much more throughout the year with recreation. And we're very, very pleased to announce through a partnership with Report for America that Richard Tubols, who has been active in media in Rapid City, is joining our staff in the next couple of weeks, and will be reporting on the wide variety of diversity issues, the different cultures and languages and traditions that we have all across South Dakota.
And Larry, I apologize. I was trying to get you to the Explorer as you were telling people. So one of the technical challenges of doing this remotely. So.
One of the reasons that we've been able to actually implement this strategic plan too is because underwriters like yourself, donors and members have stepped up and have found an interest in one of these specific lanes of content. General reporting, news and information, of course, is important, but we know that your businesses, your audiences, our audiences may be interested in a deeper dive into one of those areas than the other. And we think it's a very effective way for you to extend your voice to those audiences and to help support public broadcasting. If there is one of those lanes in particular, we can feature your relationship to that special content area within the way we publish content, both digitally and across a variety of social media platforms, as well as on our website. We also extend those same stories into our radio division and into television division. So we're able to take that lane of content and your recognition with it and bring it across platforms to help hopefully follow that content wherever it leads. And not so much with a specific media, that is important, but to follow a specific lane of content. At the same time, while we've been covering information about all of the changes brought on by the virus, their life goes on, and we've been trying to highlight not only under impact of the virus, but how to continue to live in this environment too. Both of those areas have seen a lot of traffic and a lot of interest in our digital as well as our audio and video services. Within our website, we've reorganized the way the website can be followed, much in the way with the strategic plan that's been implemented. And one of those ways, as you can see, when you come into sdpb.org, you want to be home. We know that people follow specifically television and radio, but we want you to explore. And some of the ways that you can explore are the topics that we have organized within our website. And all of those stories that you see are tagged specifically, where there may be a politics and public policy story that stretches into some of the other topics, so they can be tagged, so they may appear under the arts, under business, under rural life. So the work of a reporter, it doesn't always define itself to be something exclusive. So our website is constructed in such a way that content can flow across different areas of interest when they cross over each other. But we think this has been not only an effective way to organize and distribute our content, but an easy way in this context of our website for people to find it. But at the same time, one of those you also might be interested in and can do some exploring. Most in the last couple of weeks throughout the COVID, we've really made an exerted effort to expand the way we cover this general entertainment division. The entertainment group covers arts and cultural events, the Dakota life and rural storytelling, as well as the production that we do for our sports and recreation. Because of the canceled games, because of the way things have changed, just in the past month and a half or so, we've expanded the stories in the virtual Dakota life. We reached back into our archives from the past 15 years and brought out some of the great basketball games. We still have an archive of football and track that we're looking at to share with people who can't get out and enjoy those. We've done a variety of virtual screenings, again, with entertainers, with historical and other areas of interest. But coming up, we plan to share virtual screenings in the next few months. When we had plans to get together, engage with you and engage with audiences, where those have changed, we're going to use this platform and others to bring people back together to share this content. In the meantime, production does continue, and we're going to have a couple of very special events here later in the year. When you think about the way that South Dakota has been connected technologically through communications, through electrification and others, it really does put us in the middle of everywhere. And we have a very special documentary along with a series of social media leading up to it over the next several months. That doc will be out this fall. And of course, being the 100th anniversary of the vote for women, it's the simple justice of suffrage. We're looking at that, not only the impact in South Dakota, but NPR and PBS are also contributing with content.
Julie.
So now the question you've all been waiting for, I guess, is, so we've done all that. What has been the impact on audience? And as an underwriter associated with public broadcasting, how does that reflect on your business? And the news is very good. Nationally, PBS viewership is up. While radio listening is down nationally, not shocking when you think about all the time spent listening to the radio while we're driving, which we're not doing very much of as of late. NPR is still leading radio in terms of the least amount of audience erosion. And I will say, in my 30 years of public broadcasting, having seen audience upticks in every major crisis I've lived through, this is not shocking. In times of uncertainty and worry, people turn to public broadcasting. Americans turn to public broadcasting. South Dakotans turn to SDPB, television and radio and digital, for solid fact-based information about what's happening. And that is certainly the case that we have seen. When you look at the social media growth, so we're well over 100,000 social media followers, and in a normal March where we'd be doing boys and girls basketball tournaments, we'd see a pretty good uptick. March 2020, with the growth of 3,500 just in March, following us on social media without sports, is a real, I think, tell of the engagement and the level of audience interest in the content that SDPB has been putting out over the last 2 months. We've also seen a significant surge in the number of people becoming members and reaching out to us to activate PBS Passport, which is basically TiVo for all of your PBS programming. It's become a really popular resource for South Dakotans looking to binge watch Downton Abbey or watch their favorite SDPB production over the last few months. And we expect these trends to continue for the foreseeable future. Here on really focusing on radio, you can see that, as I said, drive time may be down, but online audience is up and way up. We've not only seen these significant increases in key NPR programming like Morning Edition and All Things Considered, but we've especially seen it in our local programming. So our 2-hour local In the Moment and our local Jazz Nightly program have seen the largest audience growth, and I think that's reflective of people looking for information about what's happening in South Dakota, and at night for a break from it all. So I think those are reflected in people's desire for local programming and local content, and our web traffic, and I think you can see that with the slides that Larry was talking about, is up tremendously. And that's just a fact that when people are searching online or Googling for information and they come to our site, they spend some time there, they look around and they go back, because we really have been putting out a tremendous amount of news and information over the past few months. In addition, we felt it was really important. Public broadcasting, as I hope you would know, has a long history of education, K-12 and preschool education support, and has really remained one of the strongest, most trusted go-to places for preschool education. PBS Kids is a well-known and well-branded content pool of great educational programming for children. We had been working over the past year to really expand our early education services, and when the COVID crisis hit, we decided we needed to launch sooner rather than later, so we upped the launch a few months, and we pushed out our Early Learners Connection, also known as ELI, E-L-I, and it includes regular newsletters to parents who sign up with recommended short videos, programs to watch, and then correlated to South Dakota's standards and directives, so that you as a parent or as a grandparent or as a homeschooler can find the necessary resources to tie that content to activities you can do with your child and really improve the learning environment, especially for children who don't have access to regular preschool, or in our case, children who are learning at home. In addition to this, we also expanded our programming on SDPB I believe it's Channel 2 to expand our educational offerings to K-12 in partnership with PBS, providing some really high quality STEM programming throughout the day on SDPB2 for those parents or students who either don't have access to quality internet for a good distance learning experience, or who just want to beef up that learning experience with some additional high quality STEM programming. We will be continuing that throughout the summer, and I expect as well into the fall 2021 school year. So I'll just end my comments here and toss it back to Liz, but say thank you so much for your support and for your ongoing support. And I hope as you leave this conversation that you really feel that the money you invest in SDPB is returning a good dividend for you and your company and the people of South Dakota. So thank you.
And with that, we can open up some questions, but to echo what Julie has stated, is it truly is a partnership, and we would not be able to do the things that we do without your support. And with that, some of the things that we would like to know a little bit more of is how can we assist you? We'd like to know more about your stories. And before we open it up to questions, one little teaser is, since this is May Day, for those that have attended, you're going to be included in a May Day drawing. And for those that may be watching this virtually, the question for you is, who will be joining SDPB's journalistic group as of June 1, 2020? If you provide that information to me, we will put you into the drawing as well. Any questions, comments that you may have? You can send it in the chat. And Ryan, I think there's a way for people to raise their hands to see if they have a question.
There is, and I just unmuted everybody if you would like to ask a question.
Well, we have Jean already telling us who's joining June 1st. And so thank you, Jean. Appreciate that. And DS as well. So thank you all. Appreciate that as well. We will get you in the drawings. And if you have, we are going to, like I said, we are recording this. We are going to be distributing it out as well. So you'll have a chance to watch this again or use it as a reference for some things that are happening with SDPB. We do really encourage you to go explore sdpb.org and utilize our content to help keep your groups engaged as you are kind of changing what your business models are, because really what our content is your content. You've made this possible for us. So with that, we just thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for all your support. And please keep engaged with us and give us ideas. Let us know what's happening in your world as well.
I would just like to second that. One of the positives that I didn't really foresee going into work at home and figuring out how to create news and journalism and stories from home was how impactful it has been to have our entire staff involved in pushing forward story ideas and content of the day, if you will. And so I would, in all sincerity, if in the course of doing your business or going about your work or in your community, you come across what you think is a story that should be told or something that is being unreported or underreported, feel free to reach out to Liz or shoot us an email at SDPB and share your content ideas. We welcome them.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all that have joined us as well. And have a wonderful May Day. And enjoy, maybe all of you will be dropping off some May Day gifts for people. But thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.